the name of our show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Large Glass. I'm Todd.
I'm Terri.
And this is our weekly segment where we bring you a new artist or art-related theme to talk about every Tuesday night. How's it going out there, everyone? Nice to see you all.
Yes. We have Pumpkin Audrey and Mom.
And Mom. Nice
Hello.
to see you guys. So we have new digs. Like we moved the 63 is here. Dave is here. Good to see you. Ben Hagenbush is here. All right, the crowd's filing in.
They're coming in.
The bar is filling up. Teeny's bar is filling up.
Yes.
And I just wanted to let everybody know about our new digs for a second, and that we kind of have a new space that we're in.
Sure.
Which is kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. So we took, first of all, for those of you who don't know, we're not actually in a bar. But we moved our space, and so now we are sitting in a much more sort of isolated space, but all the gear has been reconfigured. So we'll see how it goes.
This is the new and improved Teeny's bar.
The new and improved Teeny's bar. Now, one cool thing about this space is it has a stone foundation. The walls are 24 inches thick, and it does have a concrete floor, so it's a little cold.
Yeah, and
right?
It's 200 years old.
And it's over 200, or is it two?
I think so.
It's almost 200 years old. It's very close.
close.
So we not only have fantastic sound deadening, like natural insulation from all the thickness.
Yes.
But it's like freezing.
Yeah.
So we'll make it work. But it's really kind of nice. It's really authentic. So one night, don't know when it'll be. Maybe we'll flip the cameras around so you can see the stone wall.
No,
you're looking at me like, no way.
The mystique. We're not doing that.
All right, we're not doing that. I've been overruled. Should we drink?
Sure, we should drink.
All right.
63 says we're bomb-proof.
We kind of, I would say we probably are a little bomb-proof.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about tonight's drinks a little bit, because I sort of felt, first of all, we talked to our artist.
We did.
Linden Eller, about what we should drink tonight. And what are they having? Do you remember? It's the Carroll Gardens cocktail.
The Carroll Gardens cocktail.
Carroll Gardens cocktail is a beautiful drink. I think it was invented actually in like 2007, but it's become an institution for a region of Brooklyn known as Carroll Gardens. Jim Osmond lives in Carroll Gardens.
If you've seen Moonstruck, that was filmed in Carroll Gardens.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Exactly. So I waited way too long on trying to find the ingredients for the Carroll Gardens cocktail. And then when I saw them, I was like, whoa, oh my God, I can't go get all this. Mm-hmm. So I decided that I'd pull down a lovely box that I've had up, hanging around in our bar for a while, and pop this baby open. This is a Glenmorangie La Santa. Ooh. Thanks, Pumpkin, Audrey, and Dave.
Yes.
You're the ones who brought this to me, and I've been waiting for just the right occasion to open it up. But who doesn't love a single malt scotch aged in a sherry cask? All right. And I try to get Terri on board with drinking this with me, but it's a no-go.
No, that's okay.
It is a no-go.
David Backus says he's not drinking yet because he's in the car. He's watching from the car.
Well, David, let's talk about why that shouldn't be a valid excuse. No, I'm just kidding.
We'll drink for you.
Yes, we'll handle this for you.
Yes.
All right. Oh, Carolyn Thau continuing her subscription, 13 months. Thank you, Carolyn. You've been here since the beginning.
Yes.
We very much appreciate that. And let's see. You're having a little Oyster Bay.
I'm going to have my standard Oyster Bay.
Well, this is Pumpkin Audrey's standard Oyster Bay.
And whatever Audrey's standard is usually my standard too.
Yes, yes. I have to say, this smells incredible. Lovely color. Ooh, oh, wow. It's a little sweeter than I'm used to on a scotch, because you can really immediately smell like the caramel and the sherry.
Mm-hmm. It feels like it would warm your ears up.
It might. Carolyn says, Terri, you look like you're ready for the snow. 63 is like, oyster is a good call as well. Oh, so see?
It is.
63 is tuned in.
Yes.
Well, everybody, what is this? Episode what?
We're on episode 66.
66.
That's right.
I love it.
Okay.
All right, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks for coming tonight. Tell us what you're drinking in the chat, as per the usual, except for you, David Backus. Wow.
Is it good?
Yeah, that's really nice. Really aromatic. It's got a sweetness to it, but not entirely, right? It does have a classic sort of Scotch dryness to it. It's not more on the sweet side of the spectrum, but the aroma has a sweeter, fruitier sort of aroma to it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I got to get into it a little bit more.
Okay.
A couple of things that I kind of wanted to bring up.
Yes.
So number one, I wanted to send out a special thanks to a couple of our viewers for being really generous in their donations. So number one, I'd like to thank Alan and Ellen Wexler for their donation. That was really generous. Thank you for that. We really appreciate that. And I don't think I have formally thanked you on the air yet for that. And I'd also like to thank Shirley Perlinsky for her donation. That was also really generous. And thank you for that. We really appreciate your support. It helps out a lot. And our goal one day is to have this be a situation where we can not only do this full time, but we can also support the artists that we are having on the show with us. That's our goal. It's going to take a while to get there, but you know, we're going to keep plugging away at this. So we really appreciate that. And speaking of our fans, speaking of our supporters, I got a Facebook message from Boo Jazz just before the show went on, like a half an hour before the show went on. And Boo Jazz, you know, they haven't been able to tune in recently as much as they'd like to. So Boo Jazz wanted to send me this picture of him wearing our t-shirt in front of his wife Jamie's paintings.
Yes.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah, they are really, really great supporters of ours, and we love to have them along. We sent them a t-shirt, and
he's here right now.
And he's there. He is.
Hey.
He says, "I'm having a glass of Old Sugar Distillery honey liquor."
Ooh, that
liqueur.
sounds nice.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
So, and there he is, right there. All right. So that's the first thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sending that to us.
That's a beautiful thing. So we're sending some love to you and Jamie. All right. The second thing is we have a giveaway tonight, which I'm excited about.
Me too.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, I don't want to give it away because I really like it. But we have a beautiful 6x4-inch original piece by our featured artist, Linden Eller, today. He's got it up on the screen right here. It's a mixed media piece called Crowds. So you got to follow on Twitch so that you can enter the drawing.
Right. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a couple minutes.
Yes, but we're going to give this away at the end of the night.
That's right. Amanda Chulin says, pretty
Fair Isle sweater. Well, yes, it's nice and wintry.
Nice.
I don't know about you guys, but we've had a couple episodes of snow here.
Yeah, we got snow today.
We got snow today, and we got snow. We woke up to snow the other morning.
We woke up to snow the other morning.
It's time to pull out the Fair Isle sweaters. Yeah.
So just so you know, remember, this piece, we're giving this away tonight. Now, here's how this works, okay? If you happen to be watching on Facebook or you happen to be watching on YouTube, thank you. Don't forget to follow over there. But in order to participate in the giveaway, you have to come over to Twitch. And that's simply because the Twitch engine for running our giveaways is, it's more efficient, it's more fair, it's more reliable. And so we like to do it just through Twitch. So listen, coming over to Twitch is very simple. You're just going to go to twitch.tv/Todd Lambrix. Easy to find, right? And then when you get there, sign up for a free account, just like you do on any of these other services, and click follow, and you're watching us, okay? And then once I hit the little button that initiates the giveaway, you can sign up for that, and we can kind of get you involved. Look at Terry's holding the piece. I love that. All right. So Ben Hagenbush says he got some snow too.
Ooh.
So,
yes.
All right. The only other thing we got to talk about is, did we have a pin winner this week?
We did. Artword42. She guessed the correct artist on our Thursday contest. We featured an Audubon drawing of a turkey. It was very appropriate for the season. So look for your chance to win this coming Thursday, and Artword42 will be sending you a pin.
That one was like, it no sooner hit the Instagram page when, bam, we had a winner.
Yes. Yeah.
You did a good job on that one, though.
Yeah,
I thought that was perfectly.
It was fun.
It's good
it was
context.
Perfect. Yeah.
Good context.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start talking about tonight's artist. I don't think we have anything else to tell, do we?
I don't think so.
Should I start the giveaway while we're here?
We can start the giveaway.
All right, let's do that so I don't have to interrupt Linden with all this giveaway stuff, right? So let's just get this rolling. So here's how this is going to work. When I start this, and you're over here following on Twitch, all you have to do is type in the chat, exclamation point raffle. Now that's all one word, exclamation point raffle space, and the number of tickets you would like to have. You use your viewer loyalty points, which is that little purple circle just below your chat typey window. You can pick anything from 1 to 1,000. The more you pick, the more chances you have to win the prize. The prize window of time will be open for 45 minutes, which is now to just before we end the show. We'll do the drawing at around 8:55, close to 9 o'clock. Good luck with that. And here we go. So it's about to pop up in the chat window, and you guys will see that in a second. Pumpkin Audrey's like doing it already. You got to do it again, Pumpkin Audrey. I haven't started yet.
Carolyn wants to know if she's allowed to play.
So Carolyn, I was actually going to say, and I hope you don't hate me for this, but if you've won anything in the last 30 days, maybe you could sit this one out. She's got a smiley face with tears coming out of it because Carolyn Thau has all the large glass merchandise.
She's very lucky.
She's very lucky. She's gotten it all.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now we can start introducing our artist.
Yes.
So, you wanna get that rolling for us?
Yes, I'm very excited about tonight's artist. So tonight's featured guest is a well-traveled mixed media artist. She typically focuses on concepts involving memory. She creates collages, and many of which have been exhibited and published both nationally and internationally. Although she was raised in Arizona, she did study in California, and she currently resides on the East Coast. So she will be joining us tonight from her New York studio. Please welcome Linden Eller.
Hi, Linden. How are you?
Hi, I'm well.
It's good
Thanks
to
for
see
having me.
Thanks for
Thanks
coming
for
on. We
coming.
love to have you. So,
Cheers.
oh,
Cheers.
yes, please. Cheers. So I've got my scotch. I hope that's close. You have that beautiful Carroll Gardens
it's
cocktail.
so beautiful.
Can you tell us a little bit about your partner and how he's like really into mixology and hooking you up with that?
His name is Kyle. I call him Kai, and I think he started getting into cocktails when he lived in San Francisco for, I don't know, good decade or so, before moving out here. And he just kind of slowly, kind of started experimenting and collecting bottles, and he kind of put his finger on a cocktail and collect what he needed to make it, and then just grew from there. So yeah, I get a benefit from his snowballing interest.
Yeah,
so it's great.
For sure. I love
that's
that.
great.
I love that. So, well, welcome.
Welcome aboard. I think we just need to turn the volume up a tiny bit because a couple people can't hear us.
Oh, did somebody say they can't hear us?
63 and Chris can't hear us.
Is it the volume on Linden's connection, or is it the volume of us? Just out of curiosity, because I can adjust all of that. But let us know. And it might be the volume on Linden's mic. Oh, it's us, guys.
Oh, it's us. Okay.
Yeah, we got that. Don't worry. It might actually be more me than anything else, but hopefully
Okie dokie.
we'll take care of it. Let's keep on talking. So, Linden, I have so much to talk to you about tonight, and I got like this. So first of all, I've got, of course, work to show, right? Your work is over there in the window next to us, and then we've got a video to show. Where should we begin tonight?
It's really hard to begin. Whenever we start talking to an artist, we always have to find that originating point. So I guess we can start talking about how you knew that you wanted to become an artist. That's usually the best place to start. Do you remember like the initial sparks that you had growing up? Was there somebody who influenced you? Was there a particular experience that you had that drew you into doing what you do now?
I think I think I always dabbled in a lot of creative pursuits, I guess. And as a child, I did a little bit of piano and a little bit of choir and a little bit of I hoped to become a folk singer like Joni Mitchell in college. And,
Ooh.
I just kind of dabbled and I originally was a film major. And then I just kind of got burnt out on it and felt like it was almost too collaborative. I actually wanted something that was, more like, okay, I only need to depend on myself to create a finished product. And I did do some kind of drawing in high school, but nothing I'll say conceptual past, trying to like replicate charcoal drawings of, someone in a magazine or something. So I don't know. I took some art classes and I just felt immediately a connection almost more with the people. I felt a kindredship, that I had kind of found a community that spoke a language that resonated, that felt like home. And so I felt out of place a lot in Phoenix, which is my hometown. And I think it clicked, and the community, and so I switched majors to studio art, and then here I am.
And here you are.
So not one singular experience really, but
Gotcha.
That's interesting, considering that your artwork isn't a singular experience either. Like, everything you do involves so many different elements. So to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, and I also love the fact that you buck the trend against collaboration. Collaboration is like one of those hot topic words that we always kind of have to jump all over, as if, I've done a lot of collaborative endeavors and I've enjoyed many of them, but I also really understand the need sometimes to sort of be my own person and kind of allow my voice to speak for me. So I really appreciate that. That's a good thing. So I was pulling from your website when we put together the show. I was pulling images from your website, and I started out by taking some of the pieces that we see up here right now. And if I'm not mistaken, so first of all, we haven't really told anybody that, we're in a show together, right? And
yes.
Which that happened by, I didn't expect that. This is how I met you. I met you through the show that we shared together at the Court Tree Collective, one of their online exclusives. And I believe some of these images from this collection are in that show. Is that correct?
No, I don't think the ones you chose are in the Court Tree.
Okay. So my apologies for that. But I did feel an affinity towards these images and their immediacy and the way in which you kind of take what you're cutting out and obscure and also sort of heighten what's underneath that. Can you talk a little bit about your process when it comes to like working with photos in this case, or postcards in this case?
Yes. So this, I think the first kind of collection that you are sharing is from a series called Dear Sincerely, which is essentially how you start and end a letter or a postcard. And they actually were given to me by a friend, Katie. I was living in Flagstaff, Arizona for a while, and a really beautiful artist friend, Katie Vernon, just kind of came in one day. I was working out of a studio, a kind of collective space called the Heart Box there. And she came in and she said, "These are for you." And she like pounded a big shoebox full of these old postcards. She's like, I got them. I found them in a thrift store and I thought I'd do something with them. And she's like, "It's just not my medium. It's totally your medium. Like, I want to see what you do with them." And so they were gifted to me. And I started them as a Patreon series. So I know you're on Patreon as well.
We are.
And so I just kind of started them as like a weekly Patreon only series. And I'm a big letter writer. And I'm really a big believer in, I mean, it seems a little redundant to say everything analog as an artist. A lot of us are creating analog work. But, you know, analog in expanding to other parts of our lives. So, you know, I have a relationship with my, you know, the people that work at the post office down the street from me. I'm there easily once or twice a week. And so, yeah, this series, Dear Sincerely, you know, these postcards, they have history, right? And they're also about specific places that are really collective. So some of them are like Yosemite and different national parks and different places that I'm sure a lot of people collectively share a memory from at some point in their lives.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's really interesting to me, is the overlap between people's memories, you know, in a similar place, a location, or subject matter. So that's a lot of what this is about.
And I like how you take the part of it, which is the overlap, the postcard, the thing that all the people that encountered that place would remember. But then you create a uniqueness in and on top of that, that is both, you know, yours. It sort of maps certain things. It forgets certain things. Like I love the white parts that almost seem like they're holes in the memory, like spaces you can't remember. And then there's this other kind of thing that's happening with this layered, sort of really exciting, these little moments of layered color.
Texture, and there's variety, and like all the different mediums that jump in there as well. Fibers, you know, like fibers of thought. So,
right.
Yeah.
And it becomes uniquely yours. So it's really quite gorgeous. And I've got so many of these up here. As I'm digging through your website, I'm like, oh, and I want that one, and I want that one, and I want that one.
So, yeah, I mean, mixed media feels so much like home, because, you know, nothing in our lives is just one thing. You know, it's, you know, a memory is a multitude of things at once that are referencing each other and, you know, forgetting and remembering. And, oh, that reminds me of, you know, another time I was at this place 3 times in my life, you know, with different people and with different, you know, wearing different clothes, and the weather was different, and all of those kind of start layering on top of each other. So I feel like that can kind of expand to a lot of areas of our life, of a multitude. So
it's interesting too how, and I'm just realizing this now, but as we look at these, a lot of the work that you do, or the focal point of what you're doing to these, is always at the center, which it's kind of like the memory. Like when you try to focus really hard on it, basically looking at it in the center, I guess, you can't remember it, or it becomes very abstract. But in your peripheral vision, there are hints and glimmers of the thing that was, which I love that you treat that this way. And I mean, maybe that's just my own interpretation, but that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, that's a great, I haven't even realized my own pattern, you know, of kind of putting things in the center. But it's true. I like some sort of empty breathing room around the edges in most of my work. I like that breathing space. It could be just aesthetic, but you've kind of tapped into maybe another layer there that I'm not aware of.
By the way, we forgot to announce this earlier, but for those of you that are in the chat, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, feel free to ask questions, feel free to comment. We're going to relay those comments and questions to Linden, and she'll be able to actually address those directly and answer. So, and we're not going to wait till the end for a Q&A. Just throw them in there now. And on that note, Linden, Pumpkin Audrey is asking, what makes you decide the cutouts? Like, how do you pick and choose? Like, what is your collection? Do you have a collection of these things, or are you making specific choices?
Oh my goodness, I have too many materials. I'm not allowed to have any more until I use all the ones I have. It's ridiculous. To show you a small window, I'll show you one drawer. This is my scrap drawer, we'll say. So I kind of have like are all of my like small, tiny, tiny, tiny little pieces, and here's a little black and white photograph of some fruit, fruit stand, and I have paint, acrylic paint palette swatches, and I have birch tree bark, and I mean, it goes back through probably 15 years of my life, because I just keep anything that is a something that sparks anything for me. I just tuck it away, and when I'm creating, I often just like grab a big pile and like plop it down on my desk, and I just kind of sort through them, and certain things just speak to me at certain times, and then a lot of times I'll start with like a trigger, like an elbow or the edge of a tree against the sky, or something that feels like, okay, that's a narrative that I need to explore.
Right.
And then the rest, it's like what connects to that, and sometimes it's colors, sometimes it's something I want to cover up, sometimes it's all very, very present. I don't do really like beforehand sketches or anything planned. It's all in the moment.
Gotcha. And Carolyn, I'm going to get to your question in a second, because that's a larger question I want to ask Linden. But Boojazz is saying that Jamie's on Linden's Instagram now. She loves her use of children's book illustrations. So for those of you who want to head over to Linden's Instagram and follow that, I'm throwing that up on the screen right now for you. So that's at Linden Eller on Instagram, and it's a gorgeous,
it's so
gorgeous
beautiful.
Instagram.
I like how it looks collectively too. That's one of the beauties of Instagram, because each piece functions as a whole. And it's interesting because it is these collaged elements, but then when you look at them as an overall collection, it's like branching out, and it's just
like
this
a curated
beautiful
show.
curated Instagram. Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I love that. So Carolyn Thau is asking, would this be considered collage? Which I believe the answer to that is yes. However, I did want to ask you about that, because you say on your website, you say contemporary collage. So when you are thinking about collage, we could go all the way back to like, there's so many collage artists like Hannah Hawk or, Hannah Hoke, that we could sort of get into. But what do you think about when you think about collage? Like, is it, what's your approach to that? Where are your boundaries, I guess, within that medium?
It's a good question. I think that I think that honestly, I don't identify a lot with the kind of larger aesthetic of collage. That I think a lot of people, if you say collage artist, there's a very specific, kind of family of imagery that comes to mind, and it's just not my work. And so I find kind of trying to, I don't quite feel at home in just collage by itself. So that's why a lot of times I'll say mixed media, especially because I do bigger work on canvas that's kind of more, probably leans more into paintings that incorporate collage elements. So, collage, I think, is really important in my work, and it's an aspect in all of my work, whether it's on wood, canvas, big or small, paper or not, because it's that found element and that history that all of those elements carry that's really important to me. And so I always include them, no matter what kind of how, sometimes it's only collage, paper, all found, all, those kind of elements. And sometimes it's, a mixture, but that's always consistent. I'll say that's the one consistent.
Yeah, I have to say that I don't feel like your work resonates like collage. To me, your work resonates more like painting or drawing, because drawing, especially because the immediacy, especially when you said you take a big pile of stuff out of the drawer, plop it on the table, and there's this kind of sort of immediacy to how something calls out to you and just requires being put on the page. That's like drawing. right? So I feel like that's definitely an element of this. And I want to come back to that point, but 63 is the nickname of one of our followers on the chat. He has a question. He says, so I like that she uses photos. Does she have any photographers who are particularly influential? Not that she uses their work. I guess meaning, do you look at photography and is there anyone that you really like or?
Hmm. I mean, I think that I do really enjoy photography overall as a medium. I wouldn't say that I have a specific photographer's name that I could offer. Um, I mean, I do love, I know it's probably very, very commonplace at this point, but I do love Vivian Meyer, her street photography. I think she's really, really brilliant in how she captures people. But yeah, it's a great question. There's not any specific photographers, though I do really enjoy photography as a small like side element, and I've always hoped to maybe one day be able to use, you know, my own photographs in transparencies or in some sort of more of a dominant element in my own work. But for
Right.
now, it's more found.
And 63 throws in a little reply comment on there basically saying, not all that common, but thanks.
Oh.
So that's good. That's good. I'm going to try and pop over into some other. We've been looking at these postcards for a while, and I want to start to sort of change it up a little bit with some of the work. And I threw these in there. These are like these sketch pieces that you've done. And I know that we're not into the paintings yet, right? We haven't gotten over to that level yet. But since we just started talking about drawing for a minute, I think this is a good time to jump into that. And I love these as these little sketch experimentations, and they do so much more than just, you know, pencil in the sketchbook, right? They're so gorgeous. I want to just start popping through these. But is this kind of part of your daily practice? Is this part of how you sort of think?
Yeah, I wouldn't say a daily practice, but they're a part of, you know, a studio practice overall. I feel like sometimes, you know, if we're only focusing on a collection or an exhibition or a commission or, you know, something that's pulling something very specific out of us, it's really important to return to, you know, a blank, like I just need to get something out of me that's not expected to be pulled in any direction.
Right.
And it can be small, it can be simple, it can be fast. And I feel like that element's really important for a studio process. So I do try and return to these little sketches occasionally. And something I've been doing recently, I just started doing I call them 2-minute etch-a-sketch, right? Is that it?
Oh, yeah.
That's
I
the
think so. I
shake.
think I saw
That's
them
the
on
shake
your
one.
Instagram.
Yeah.
You had mentioned
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So, and it's like, you know, even though my work is really focused on memory, I would say the focus is more on the inaccuracies of memory so that the focus is on detaching from them, instead of clinging to our memory and, you know, detaching from them. And so a part of that process, I've been experimenting with doing these like 2-minute sketches where I put on the timer and I make something and I don't glue it down and I don't keep it. And I just put the pieces back in my drawer, you know, as an exercise for, you know, not being attached to our work. And it doesn't all have to be for, you know, for sale or for a purpose or, so that's been really fun.
Wow.
You know, you had mentioned some things in the thing you wrote for the newsletter about memory, and Linden talks a lot about memory on her website. And I really liked I love the memory that these called forth
Yes.
for you. Can I ask if we could share that, or is that, I know you put it in the newsletter.
Yeah,
so,
it's in the newsletter.
but I mean, I really liked the way the suggestion that some of these have, right? And the things they omit and the things they include all of a sudden sort of start to play with our own sense of memory.
Right. Well, even if you look at them, and what I really appreciate is some of these more semi-transparent layers too, where it kind of blurs the memory. You know, and you almost want to talk about your compositions like memories. Like it kind of blurs those details that would have been so much more concentrated, but then it kind of gets fuzzy around the edges, and certain things are really precise and other things are just like frayed at the edges,
Right.
which is how the memory works. And when I was looking at your work, it had reminded me of a memory that I thought was really crisp, but then I was thinking about it, I'm like, there's so much of that has these holes, and what informs your memory? It's photographs that you have lying around, or somebody retold your story, or maybe somebody did something over and over again. That's the repetition in the history. And it was really fascinating because your work made me think quite a bit about that process. So, yeah.
Well, Linden, as far as your interest in memory or what you've found, I often find that when I'm making work and I'm thinking about a particular topic as I'm making that work, whether or not that thought process is supposed to creep into the work or not, and it might, ultimately what happens is something visually in the work that I'm doing informs what I'm thinking about, right? Even if they're not supposed to be related. So when you're working and you're thinking about memory, or memories on your mind, or memory is the sort of genesis for what it is that you're doing, what have you learned from that? Or how is it that memory has crept into your interest area? Or what is it about memory that you find fascinating?
I think when I was younger, if I can say that, in my early 20s or in my 20s, I guess, I feel like I was more interested in memory for the magic of it, for the cinema of it, and I think I would consider myself back then very sentimental, and really trying to capture these the past. And I think now I've more transitioned into holding memory, or my trying to approach memory in my work in a very different pathway, kind of almost in the opposite of, I want to, as you were saying, Terri, like I want to expose the flaws in memory.
Ooh, yeah.
I want to, almost to serve as a reminder, like, hey, it's over. Like, it's not actually real. It's not, it's, the present is the only thing that's truly real. And so I'm hoping that my pieces can kind of serve as that reminder in a way that, we can hold memory. It can be something that's lovely, but also not to, to hold it very, very gently and very lightly and not too dearly. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but I think when I'm making work, I'm not attached to, sometimes it's a specific memory, but it's almost a process of letting go of it if it's specific, right? So if it's something that's mine, I want to disattach from it, as I'm working through it. And if it's something that isn't mine, sometimes I'll be making something and I'm like, I've never been to this place, or like, why am I making a memory about socks? Like, I don't really have a specific memory in mind, and yet this fragment is speaking to me. And I wonder who could come across this fragment and it would more speak to them instead. And that's really exciting to me, to make work more for others than my own narrative. So anyways.
There's something interesting that you said about how the memory is something that is gone. It's not there anymore. And you can choose to hold on to it, but you hold on to it delicately, or something. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But as a piece of art, right? As a piece of art that has a fragility, a delicacy to it, that I think helps to sort of really flesh that out a little bit and kind of reveal that it's this thing that is, very fragile, or you know, at least for me. You have a fantastic memory. I have a terrible memory.
But is my memory accurate? Sometimes it's not. And it's funny, as you get older, there are certain moments that you think you're never going to forget. And then when you start to recall them as you get older, you're like, wait a minute, I don't know if I recall it the same way. It's interesting what you're saying, because somehow in my mind I'm equating it to, it's almost like you don't want to hold on to this preciousness of memory. I mean, and even with these collages that you're doing that are meant to just kind of blow away, like you put them together, maybe you capture an image, but off it goes. But in creating that, I almost think you create an alternate preciousness through these pieces, because they're beautiful, and we can disassemble them, but we wouldn't want to. But in a way, it's interesting, because you're letting go, but you're gaining something that's like similarly precious in a different way.
I love that.
Right?
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's both. It's both at the same time, you know.
Right. You know, it's funny. I remember sitting around a table when I was a kid, not a kid, but like, you know, probably in my late teens, early 20s. I think we were either at a holiday, and my sister told a story and from when we were kids. And then I'm listening to this story, and I remember the event, but my memory of the event was different. And I sat there and I said, no, it happened like this. And I told my version of the story. And my mother, who was sitting there, who's in the audience right now, she's got a smirk on her face, and she's kind of smiling and nodding her head. And she goes, now I'm going to tell you both how it actually happened. And so you had three people all in the same event, remembering it completely differently, which really, just from a perceptual standpoint, you know, and I think this really goes beautifully to Linden's creations, is that there's a subjectivity to what happened there. And I think each person's memory is not one person's memory is correct.
Right.
Each person's memory is correct.
Right.
Which I love how that lends itself to the malleability of these pieces.
Yes.
And the reads that you could get out of them.
Yes, that's true, because everybody's bringing their own context to the pieces.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing.
I will say 63 is interested in some of the process work here, because he's asking if some of these are true paste-up collage or Photoshop. Not that there is a judgment there, hard to tell from the photos.
But then he says, I think she answered that.
Yes, but then I was thinking this is probably a good point to show the video, where
Let's
we
show
can
the
actually
video.
see some of the process.
But before we show the video, let's see. He does. So Pumpkin Audrey says, I like how the stitching appears to hold things together. Because we'll assume for a minute that the stitching is not the only element that's doing the bonding here. Or is it?
Actually, it is.
No kidding.
In this collection, this collection's called Wild Singer, and these were all made actually on my mother's sewing machine. Most of my work's hand stitched, but this series I make on the sewing machine, and this is like a wild, like it's like a pile everything on and like just put it under the sewing machine. And so it's the goal is to have them only be held on by the stitching.
That's
this.
fantastic. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, you're getting some. So 63 is like cool.
Yeah.
Ben Hagenbush is commenting that there are objects one has, like a collection or collectibles, that help you to remember certain moments in your life. Yeah, that's true. And 63 also says, love the double entendre.
The Wild Singer.
The Wild Singer.
Yeah.
I think also what's cool about that is typically a sewing machine as a tool of production, and a certain kind of precision. I would imagine that when you're pushing that mass through there, things move, right? Like you do lose a little control in that.
You do, which I love. That's a part of this process that I really, I'll have things kind of set up of how I'd like them to be in the composition. And I know things are going to shift because you get it under there and things wiggle and they move. And to me, that's the beauty of the process.
Yeah, that's great. I'd like to remind everybody to please join in on the raffle for the piece we're giving away, because you could win a piece of Linden Eller's work. So all you have to do is type into the Twitch chat, !raffle, one word, space, and the number of tickets you want, up to 1,000. right? It's free. You're just using your viewer loyalty points. So jump in, get in there. We've got a few minutes to go before we give that away. Let's pop down on some of these images here and go a little bit further down. Here we go.
Now, Linden, do you work on one piece at a time, or are you working on several?
Never one. I mean, sometimes if they're small, the works are small. Sometimes I sit down and I start to finish. We'll work on a piece. But anything that's more large scale, I'm always notorious for working on like 10 pieces at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're getting into some larger scale pieces now.
Mm-hmm.
And these are a little
canvas pieces.
Oh, we were going to put on the video.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're looking at me like, yeah, I said that, and then you just ignored me.
I love the video because we get to see your process, and I love hearing how you fill out some of the narrative on how you come to some of these pieces and what's important to you in them.
Well, I muted the video just so we don't get slammed on the music, but we could talk through it, right, Linden? We could kind of have some conversation through it. So
absolutely.
what's MOCAF?
MOCAF stands for Museum of Contemporary Art Flagstaff. I lived there for a year before moving to Chatham, New York. So they're a great little collective that started, and they did Artist of the Month spotlights, and I was one of them. And so they made little video shorts.
Yeah, it's beautifully done. It's beautifully done. I really like the way, I love that spot that went by a second ago with that big basket of scraps that you kind of have at your disposal. I also love how when you're going through that book, the randomness with which you sort of cut through bodies and portions of paintings. I'm sorry, I'm mesmerized right now. I'm just going to watch.
And you were talking about palette. Now, if for anyone who's watching, to see the video, you just go onto Linden's website, and it's the first thing that pops up, and you get to hear the narration along with it. But one interesting thing you were talking about was palette and neutrality and the use of color. And I thought that was interesting in formulating memory, because the neutrality usually defines like memories, but then you have like these pops of excitement or some kind of emotion or something like that in your life. So
yeah, I would say that for as long as I can remember, my palette's been super pale and diluted and more earth tones and just pale. It's something I've always been really drawn to. So that's definitely stuck around, and I think I've tried to challenge myself to break out of it at certain points. But I think I've begun to incorporate some bright bursts more in the thought process that sometimes a big part of a memory is a single color, or a color or two. You feel like I have memories of someone wearing a red coat, or something where a color is really dominant in the memory. And so I wanted to kind of start bringing in a bright piece or two to kind of connect to that part of memory.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
It's a beautiful video.
It really
opens a window to,
and you have to go see it so that you can hear her speak.
Yeah, so. definitely hit the website, lindeneller.com. David Backus, just so you know, type exactly what you just typed in the chat without the brackets, and you will get it, because you didn't actually get a ticket there for the giveaway. So just wanted to let him know that. So let's keep going through some of the paintings, because there's some other ones here. I think you were actually, was this one in the video? I feel like I recognize the shape.
Yes, those were kind of in the backdrop.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Pumpkin Audrey says no easel. Civilian here. She always classifies. Pumpkin Audrey always classifies herself as a civilian, as if she's like, I don't know. I think no easel is a good question. I mean, I see you working on the floor, right?
Very cool.
Yes. Yes. I think that comes largely from I've I've moved so much of my life. This is really the first time that I'm nesting in a place. And so I'm so used to just making work wherever and however I can. So I haven't had access to an easel, I make them where I can. So I think I am more comfortable on the floor. I have an easel. It's in the corner of my studio. It doesn't get used very often, but I feel more comfortable with things like on the ground where I can get involved, and things are like dripping around and drying, and I don't know. An easel feels really a little restricting for me. So
Well, I would say that also, even though sort of in almost direct opposition to the delicate nature of what we see, there is a real physicality to the
Yeah.
making, whether it's the Singer sewing machine
Yes.
or this giant basket of all these parts.
Uh-huh.
There's something really physical, almost sculptural about the way that you handle this stuff, which,
Yeah.
it's kind of a nice contrast in that you're really wrestling. You're almost wrestling with the memory, right? In some kind of way. I was kind of interested in the one that's up on the screen right now, and the choice you made to. This almost looks like the back of a stretcher, even though I'm pretty sure it's not. But it's almost like weirdly shadow box. I can't quite put my finger on it, but can we talk about this one?
yeah, sure. This is part of a very tiny series called All That's Left. And there's only 6 pieces in the series, 3 that are in these like tiny wood little shadow boxes, and 3 that are on canvas. And I think a part of my work since I started making work has always been an interest in odd surfaces, and kind of what can I make work on, and of course I do make work on the traditional surfaces as well, but I think it's, I just released a collection called Attic, and it's work that was sitting, in storage for a decade while I was roaming around the world.
Did you release that today? Did I see
I released that today.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. I saw it on Instagram flash up.
Yeah.
A good one.
Yeah.
And it's made on like old record covers and old book covers, basically things I've just found and that are kind of ancient. And so I think this piece is kind of following in the suit of like, can I make a piece on this? Asking that question.
When Terri and I were in New Orleans a few years ago, we went to the Jazz Museum in New Orleans, and there was an amazing collection there of Louis Armstrong's. They were the boxes that the reels for tape, the reel-to-reel tapes came in, and he did collages on the boxes. You have to look them up.
He was obsessed with it. There's hundreds of them.
They're gorgeous.
And he had specific like subject material. Like he liked himself. He liked to collage himself on these things and headlines, but it was really fascinating.
Well, to see a musician just driven to sort of take whatever was in his grasp, right? These boxes, almost like you're talking about finding them in the attic, and just saying, well, I got to do this. Like, I got to get this down.
Yes.
And because they have an immediacy to them, and they're not careful.
There's nothing precious. I mean, he uses Scotch tape to hold them together.
Yeah, but they're really cool that way.
They're awesome. It's a beautiful collection.
So I would look those up. I think those are. I should have had those as references, but I didn't even think of that. I didn't know that you released that stuff today. For me, this piece functions like a container. I mean, obviously, memory, we often talk about like a container that things kind of, and each of these things sort of, I like how in this one, they're not playing this interrelational kind of game. They're all their own separate thing. They're floating about. It's a very different piece for you, which is why it caught my eye. Unlike something like, say, this, where everything now kind of has this integration, beautifully composed. I do like the little face that kind of peers out from behind there. Too. So, nice.
Yeah, this is a really special micro series again that I made for patrons originally. It's all made on small cutout sign language flashcards. So those are all like the sign is in there. I've tried to keep, even if it's through layers of transparency, the hands that are doing the sign, and then
Right.
the word always there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I can see them now.
Mm-hmm.
The two hands that are sort of gesturing downward.
Yes.
Yeah, this was the other thing too. Is I was like, I think I'm just going to pull all of Linden's work off the website. That was my first inclination, and then I started getting in there, and I was like, wait a minute, that's not humanly possible.
Yeah.
There's just so much there.
Yeah.
So let's look at one more here. We're going to draw that. We're going to draw that winner in a few minutes. This is another. Is this from Signs also? Because I see the hands in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Change, I think it is.
Yeah, this one's Change. So, gosh.
Beautiful work.
Yeah, your work is truly like. I know that I've really enjoyed watching an artist or talking to an artist when I just am dying to get home and get in my studio and and do what I do. But like, there's something about talking about the making, seeing the tactility and the physicality of the work, the video certainly, and for all of you out there that are like trying to make or trying to make a daily practice out of it. That's why we do this. That's why we're showing you this stuff, is to hopefully inspire you to like, go cut up some magazines.
Yeah.
Go glue some things together and see how that world inspires you.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Whenever I say to people, I'm like, oh, did you ever make art? And they're like, I can't draw. I'm like, okay, that's okay. You can't draw, but I believe you can draw.
Yeah,
I believe that these are genuinely drawings, right? Like in the most beautiful sense, these are drawings. I mean, Linden's probably like, they're not drawings. I gotta go.
They're paintings.
Stop calling them drawings.
I love what you said about that all you need is like, I mean, I keep receipts because I think they're fascinating. Like, I think the ink, can be, receipts I find can be beautiful. I mean, not all of them, but certain ones. So like, if you go around and collect things that you would never think could be, art materials, like you don't need the fancy paints and the brushes. Like you can create from things that are in your pockets, and that you stumble across in the street, and it's all about seeing. And so, and do a 2-minute etch a sketch, bring some things out of your pockets, put them on some paper, and you're doing it. So
I love that.
Yeah,
there's a certain and this plays to exactly what Terri's and my mission is about accessibility. I loved what you said the other day when we were chatting about the first thing I said to you was, Linden, you sell your work too cheap. And you said, I'm not interested in becoming rich from my art. I'm more interested in people being able to obtain it. And for those of you that are watching, if you don't win this piece tonight, go to Linden's site. I'm going to pop it up there one more time. Go to Linden's site and go in her shop. You can, if you're aspiring to collect art, this is a great place to do it. It's gorgeous work. And I think Linden you do a beautiful job of making that work truly accessible. And I want to thank you for that. I mean, we got some.
We sure did.
We're going to be giving out some gifts this year.
We're probably going to buy more.
Yeah. So go over there and get some too.
Yes.
It's a great, all of you that are shopping on Amazon for the holidays this year.
No.
Shame.
Nope.
Shame on you. By the way, Twitch is owned by Amazon. I should be quiet.
Yeah. So you have some shows coming up. I know you're in the Court Tree Collective actual paper exhibit up until December 28th. What else do you have going on?
I am working on a show right now called Rhythms of Mother Baby. It's a work about the interpersonal neural connectivity. Google it. It's really fascinating. Between infants and mothers. I just became a mother this summer, so it's I'll give you a little preview if you want.
Sure. And by the way, while Linden's getting that preview, 63 just went and bought one of her pieces.
Yay!
So good for you,
Good.
63. Nice
yeah,
work.
It's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh,
stuff.
look at this. Look at this.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's really different for you. Oh,
That's
wow.
very different for you.
But look at that.
And
Look
I
at the little
love
detail
it.
work in the center.
Yes.
The collage only here in the overlap of the two shapes, which is representing the brain connectivity between infants and mothers. So
Oh.
yeah, it's a little hard to get super close,
Yeah, but I love
that's
the contrast
beautiful.
between the linear work and that beautiful nebulous water area. Oh my
Mhm.
God, that's
Yeah, it's
that's
stunning.
exquisite.
Stunning.
So that's what I'm working on late at night when everyone's asleep, trying to squeeze it in, and that's showing in Phoenix in January. So
Beautiful.
That's great.
Beautiful.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, you're getting a lot of praise on that one. And John Park is here. Thanks for coming, John. He says,
Hello.
great work. Love this idea that creativity is always at hand and you don't need to feel limited by material accessibility. And that's a beautiful thing, right? You've got all this stuff. Yeah, I noticed that some of your paint chips are like grabbed right out of Home Depot. It's like you probably,
totally
yeah, I
stole
mean,
them in my pocket. I mean, they're free. So,
they are
you know.
free, but I
But I
mean,
go and I'm like, oh, what color am I going to paint my kitchen? And I'm like, take like 10 of those, you know.
yes, yes. I have
Because how many of us have been there, like
Oh.
asking, what color am I going to paint my kitchen? Everyone's used those paint swatch cards. So everyone has a memory with
Right.
a paint swatch.
Right. I have a friend who's an interior designer and he has the really, really big designer packs of Sherwin-Williams paint chips, the ones that come on the fold-out things. And he got a new set. And so he said to me, he's like, can you use these? And I'm like, oh, yes. Yeah, they're beautiful. And they all harmonize and they're so delicious. Should we give away that piece?
We should give away that.
Everybody's
piece.
like, come on, Todd, give away the piece.
Give away the piece.
All right, so
Okay.
we're gonna pull this
And we're
one
just
off.
gonna say it's not rigged, so whoever wins.
Not rigged.
Okay.
I will say I kept the numbers low on this one for how many tickets you could buy.
Yes.
Because if I make the number too high,
Yes.
my mother always buys like the max.
She does.
Because she has more viewer loyalty
I
points than
know.
anyone on this show.
True.
So it's getting near six figures at this point.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. I'm gonna click that winner button. If you win this, make sure that we have your physical address so that we can get this to you. So here we go. Drum roll, please. And it's Boo Jazz.
Jazz.
Boo Jazz. He's the guy in the
Congratulations.
tiger hat that was wearing our T-shirt earlier.
Yes.
And I know, Carolyn, I know you're not playing. I can see who's all in there, so don't worry.
Yes.
So congratulations to Boo Jazz. I'm
Awesome.
pretty sure we have their address.
Yes.
So
Yep. And then we can pass it along.
we will pass that along. So
Okay.
nice job. He's
Very
like,
good.
yes.
Yay.
So Linden, thank you. This has been
Yes.
lovely. We've really enjoyed
It's
talking
been
to
very
you.
inspiring too, because now I think I'm gonna try to do this etch a sketch thing a little bit and see what I do every day.
Linden, at some point, I'm going to sneak you pictures of some of the fabric collage that Terry's been doing for like months now. And it's going to blow your mind. I always say good stuff about it. She's like, no, don't tell anybody about it. It's gorgeous.
It's fun. It's different.
Oh, it's very different and it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. I'm in love with it, but I'll sneak
I'm
you some
excited.
I'll sneak some photos and show you. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Boo Jazz is on your site and was gonna buy a piece too. So.
Oh,
Yay.
nice. All
Awesome.
right. Yes.
Awesome.
Load up.
Pumpkin Audrey, Linden, what a pleasure to meet you. Thanks, Todd and
Thank
Terry.
you so much.
Yep, everybody's
Thanks,
everybody's
saying-
throwing praise.
everyone.
So thank you so much, Linden. We'd love to keep tabs on you, and I'd love to hear more about where you're showing and that. So please stay in touch, okay? And for all of you that are out there, make sure you follow her on Instagram, okay? So get on Instagram and give her a follow. Linden, thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks so much, everyone.
All right.
Have a good night.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Good night. All right, let's pop back over here for a couple of seconds. Any parting thoughts? What do we have to do at the end of this show? I can't even remember.
I don't know, but I'm serious. I want to go upstairs and start doing.
You
some
wanna
of
go
these
make stuff now?
projects. Yeah, now I want to make stuff. So. Yeah, it was really inspiring.
Carolyn Thau says, I'm looking through the site now. Very cool. Great show. Thank you, Carolyn.
Yes.
Ben says, thank you. 63, thank you. Mom says, fantastic show. Love Linden's work. Sorry I didn't win the work, Mom. Mom, I swear, I'm not going to accuse you of always winning all the stuff anymore because I think that joke's old and you haven't won anything in a while. Yeah. So you're off the hook. You're off the hook.
I did see Amanda Toolin in there. Amanda won the Guess the Artist a couple weeks ago. I didn't forget. I will send you a pin. I know you won a pin in the past, but trust me, you're going to want several because you're going to have a sash full of our pins one day.
Oh, so maybe we'll sew sashes for the people who collect the pins.
We should make sashes.
Only if you have pin edition number 1.
Yes.
If you're an edition 1 pin holder, then we're going to make you a sash so you can collect all of them.
Yeah.
But if you miss out on edition 1, which is almost gone, by the way, they are available on our website. $10. $10. You can get the pin if you haven't already won it. I think every single person in this room, Ben Hagenbush has 2 of them for crying out loud.
Yeah.
So anyway, last thing. Next week, Tuesday, live on our show, artist Barbara Friedman will be here. She's just in a new show right now, which is at Artist Equity in New York. Fantastic show, group show coming up. You're going to love Barbara's painting, so please be sure to tune in next week for that. And we've got some other exciting things coming up in the month of December, so make sure you're here.
I can't believe we're in December already. That's just so insane to me. It's just so crazy. Okay.
Oh, Glenn Lavertu's here. He says, I have only 1 pin.
Oh, well... You could always have more.
Glenn always guesses them like that.
Well, that, and then he's like, you can just give it away because I already have one. I'm telling you, you're going to want, don't you want like this whole decorated something?
Glenn is the last person who will want that.
No, he will totally want that. It's going to be cool.
If you are watching on YouTube right now, after the fact, the recorded version of this, please make sure to like or subscribe or follow or comment or all of the above. We need that. Tell your friends. And should we say goodnight to everybody?
Yeah, we should say goodnight.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We love having you. We love your support. And we will talk to you all very soon.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.